Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2 here for the recast of one of the sets that we had at the Asrock M8 Sydney Showdown on the 15th or 16th of September. I can't actually remember the dates, but we had a really interesting game number 1. It was kind of very standard in a way, very simple, very easy for, you know, the sort of just the simple folk to keep track of how it went down. It was just a simple fact of, you know, MVP setting up a nice economy with 3 bases, getting his production into order with lots of marines, lots of mines, and just rolled across. Happened to catch a really good shot against a lot of pigs mutalisks and took basically a whole flock of 18 down and reduced it to just 5 or something like that, and that opened the door for the Terran player. But here we have up at the top left hand side the man we were just speaking of, LG-IM's MVP. He's going to be facing off against the local boy from Australia down at the bottom right hand side of Akelon Waste, XR5 Pig. So, really interesting, kind of funny story that happened when MVP was, he was sort of practicing just before we started off all the matches and these kinds of things. He was practicing and doing his placements on the C server with this new account, and he was playing against some people. He obviously, he just played sort of random and somehow got placed in silver, which was a little bit odd. But he played against someone who immediately when he joined the game, he actually said, "You're not the real MVP, change your name," or something like that. There's a picture on my Facebook page. If you jump onto facebook.com/duckfield.casting, you can have a look. It was really funny. But could you just imagine playing, you're having your standard little ladder session, you're doing all your normal sorts of things when you're playing a game. Suddenly it's I am MVP. You know, we've all run into it, people who like to impersonate the, or sort of use the names of their idols or their heroes or something like that. But this time it actually is MVP. And then you proceed to get rolled by this guy in silver who may or may not be MVP. You probably go to the score screen and have a look at his APM and it's like 300 or something like that. It'd be a pretty weird experience, but that was what a couple of folks on the C server got to experience. But also at the event we did have, as I mentioned in game number 1, we had a couple of show matches with Pig, Frenetic Arrays Aegis, and also Phrase Patreus, who came over from New Zealand. But we were scheduled to have a couple of community matches. Unfortunately, we only got 1 going, but it was still a whole lot of fun. We had 3 folks from, well, 1 person who actually won the sort of like just a draw to play against MVP in a free-for-all, and then we had a couple of folks who were randomly chosen from the audience at the event. We had a free-for-all on which map was it? Whirlwind, and it was quite a funny map to have the free-for-all on, but it was a pretty interesting game that we had. But that was some of the fun stuff that went down. Of course, we had a lot of giveaways and all these kinds of things that you normally have at events. But as you can see, Pig actually saves some of his drones, cancels one of those. Cancels 2 extractors actually, because he tried to keep these drones alive as long as possible. But that heli did not really get its money's worth there. Didn't take down anything, as we can see on the worker kill tally, but now this guy might be able to. Reaper number 2 gets inside, takes out 1, maybe 2. Does get 2. Nicely done by MVP. Comes in, salvages a little bit of dignity here. If he can pick off a few of these lings, then he certainly can justify the cost of some of these Reapers. But the other thing about these Reapers is that it does force out all of these lings. A lot of the time, Zerg players will try and get their speed up. Sometimes you'll see them pick up gas very quickly so that they can get their metabolic boost going, so that they can keep up with the Reapers. Other times, some players, especially some of the high level players, I've seen them do it these days, it's a much more standard sort of thing these days at a higher level, is to just simply get a couple of extra lings out and try and control them better, control your drones better. And of course, once you have extra queens out, then these gals can also help out with dealing with the Reapers. So everything is pretty standard on Pig's side of the board at the moment here, just increasing the drone count, as we can see here, up to 33 right now, a few more also on the way. Meanwhile, for MVP, we've got something a little bit different. Down at the back, we have an armory. Now, this is a kind of play which you wouldn't have seen for quite a while, getting that really quick armory as a Terran player, just simply because, well, a while ago it was used for Hellbats, when people would get Hellbats, do Hellbat drops, and do what they could with those sorts of things. But given the Hellbat nerf that went through quite a while ago, that is not so much seen anymore. You rarely ever see people do that. In fact, I can't even think of the last time that I saw someone do Hellbat drops in this particular matchup, but there it is, the armory is complete, and we do have a couple of Hellbats out on the way. So, you know, there's quite a chance that MVP might be going in towards that old school kind of Hellbat kind of stuff. We'll see. I guess he is trying to micro at the front door here. One of Pig's queens is starting to get a little bit low. We'll see if she goes down. Beautiful micro by MVP to keep the hurt Hellions at the backside here. The Reaper at the front is also still there getting some damage done. This guy has gotten 2 kills and he's still alive and kicking. Of course, the combat drugs helping him out with that. But yeah, a couple of Hellbats are now done. We've also got a double medevac on the way for MVP. So I think we are going to get some kind of Hellbat drop, or possibly a combination Hellion Hellbat. I don't really know. But two Hellbats are going to get picked up. The double medevacs are on their way out. We can see that there is one Viking also coming through. This just allows MVP to clear out some of the air. Of course, we do have an Overlord. Normally there are other Overlords spread about the map. Normally you'll see a couple over on this side, you know, up in these positions here as well. Normally some, at least one down in that side as well. But here we go. MVP loading up with the Hellions, also the Hellbats as well. The team of hell is coming through right now for MVP. Pig caught out, possibly thinking that could have been some Widow Mines, or perhaps just some basic Marines coming in for a drop, and then gets surprised by barbecued drones coming out to just to see what's going on. But the Hellbats are getting a little bit of damage done, not the hugest amount, and we'll probably see MVP get out of there. Yeah, just jets out of there with those afterburners for now. But as you can see, MVP starting to add in a few more Hellbats. I'm starting to think that we are going to get Mech. Yeah, +1 to vehicle weapons here for MVP. So this signals the highly likely fact that we are going to get Mech coming out of our Terran player. As far as I can tell, Pig has not seen it yet. All that he sees is a very standard sort of setup here with medevacs and Hellbats all on the way, but it does sort of point the way that it is going to head towards Mech very soon. So the extra gas is also sort of alluding to that as well. But anyway, we do have quite a large group of medevacs now ready to rumble. A couple more just on the way as well. We'll see if all of these can drop in and get some really good damage done. A lot of Lings are now out for Pig. Of course, you know, Lings do not do too well against the big clusters of fire units here. But Pig, is he going to be able to fend off one of these medevacs getting extremely low? 22, perhaps a bad idea. Does get taken down very quickly. But the Hellbats and the Hellions all dropping down. It looks like the Lings are going to get roasted up for the most part. Only 2 of the medevacs are left over to escape for now. The Queens, in fact, may be able to sort of poke them away. Yeah, do sort of get rid of them for the moment. But another drop, no, that's the Viking, is now pushing down the right-hand side. But Pig, let's talk about economy. Pig up to 459 drones at the moment. Looks like we'll get a big drop on top of a huge transfer of those drones, but they do escape for now. Pig very lucky to keep all of those alive. So he is up to 63 drones at this point. We can see that MVP is currently sitting at a total of 56 SCVs, with more and more factories now on the way for the Terran player. So he is going hard out into Mech. We can see there is an engineering bay on the way to make sure that he has turrets available. And with his third base just about secure, things will be, you know, we'll probably see MVP turtle for a little bit. You won't really be able to move out. It's very difficult to move out against a Zerg player unless you have like the perfect composition to deal with everything they have. Now, Hellbats are a great way to deal with Lings, but MVP knows that very soon what he'll start to see, as many Zerg players will sort of transition from here, is either straight into Mutas or into a lot of Roaches, and you can't really do too much with Hellbats against either of those units. So MVP is going to pick up a couple Thors. We've got 2 inside the main. A couple more are now also building as well. We've got a total of those 5 factories. This is normally where you'll see Mech players get to before they pick up their 4th base, is just the 5 factories, because that is how much gas you have to produce out of. Normally you'll see, how many's he got? 1, 2, 3, 4 have the tech labs on them, and just 1 with the reactor for the Hellbats. So He does have a lot of gas to that he needs to keep this kind of production going, and all this does, meanwhile, is let Pig get his own economy up and running. And now we can see that he knows, he surely knows that there is some mech coming out. The mutas are going to dive in and confirm that that is certainly the case, just running their way through, going to catch up, maybe a tank. One tank does go down, a couple of mutas are lost for the effort though, so Pig does confirm that it is indeed Mech, and we'll see how he wants to adapt his style here, if in fact at all, because I mean a lot of the time you can just sort of switch it up and go straight into the Swarm Host from here, but we'll see, because a lot of the time a lot of Zerg players, they will want to get roaches out and get a lot of lings out as well, just to sort of control the ground for the time being, until you can properly get that switch going into the Swarm Host, and yeah, there it is. So quite a lot of roaches now coming out for Pig. He's got +2 on carapace on the way, +1 to missile attacks, just about done. Just a sort of preparatory upgrade coming along there for Pig. Roach speed on the way, also bailing speed, so all the speeds are going to be done very soon here for Pig as he gets prepared for a ZvT where it is going to be against Mech. So it should be a really interesting mid-game and into possibly late game here for these two players. One thing which we can see here from MVP is that he's starting to really set up that line of that sort of no man's fly zone, or no fly zone I guess is the proper word for it, but what you have is basically a long line where you have this kind of point where you don't want the Zerg to come past, because if they get inside, they can start to pick off some of your economy, some of your, you know, if Pig was to somehow get his way inside the back here, he'd be able to get some really good damage done. But what you can also do is just sort of set up that line, that exclusion zone, to protect yourself against those kind of attacks. And what MVP has done here is just push down. He said, hey buddy, I might be coming to attack you, but not just yet. Turns around, knows that there are a lot of roaches, a lot of banes here. These guys will have their upgrades coming along very soon, as we can see. +2 on the carapace, +1 on the upgrades for those banes. Meanwhile, for the roaches, they've got the exact same thing. So this game is sort of, I'd say this is going to stick at a very sort of, in fact, no, there it is, action coming along from Pig. Is going to chase after some of these units. MVP tries to head his way back to pick up some of the siege tanks, but the tanks are on siege, and that is a huge problem for MVP. One of the medevacs with a couple of tanks in it finally drops them out. They siege up, the Thors are being blasted apart by the roaches, and as you can see, MVP will eventually clean this up, I believe. And Pig is going to lose quite a lot of his roaches, but he has done a wonderful trade there, taking out so much of the Mech army, and all that this does is, this is just beautiful for Pig right here. This is exactly what you want to do against a Mech army. Go in, trade out some roaches, maybe some mutas, some lings, some banes, all these kinds of things, and then after that, resupply yourself, go up to 15, possibly up even to like 20 or something like that. Just a high count of swarm hosts. So once you get those bad boys down, you then can slowly move across to Vipers as well, and it just starts to get very, very tedious for a meching Terran player to deal with that kind of armor. But as you can see, MVP finally cleans up the rest of that attack. The roaches all go down. In fact, one will survive. He's slowly scuttling his way back home for now, but Pig has also got really good creep spread going. Look at this, he's across more than halfway across the map here in some various places, got lots of creep spread. This is one thing that Pig is very, very diligent with, is continuing to set up his creep spread. And one thing that I really love that he's done here is that he is taking extra bases. 5 and also 6 have now been picked up by Pig. What he needs here is just a lot of gas coming in. He knows that these swarm hosts are really, really costly if you need to rebuild them. Of course, the Vipers also cost quite a lot themselves. Infestors, if we see them come out, may also be something he'll need to bring out. But so far, Pig has just been playing this one out beautifully. I love how he has just slowly moved across into the various tech that he needs. The swarm hosts, these guys are going to be extremely painful to deal with. As you can see, just a couple of shots from those locusts taking down one of the tanks. And of course, the locusts are free. The tanks are not. And that sort of can start to put a clock on your opponent. We can see how MVP trying to make the best of one of these Thors that he has, and is dropping that one out, trying to do what he can against some of these units. Of course, too many lings to actually fight in a head-on fight there, but while this is all going on, slowly but surely, the swarm hosts are picking into that little army there that MVP has at the front door. But he is also still continuing to mess about with this Thor, trying to find a way to get inside here, but there is a Spore Crawler and a Spine all ready to go. A few mutas will pop out to try and deal with this medevac, because it is quite pesky to have to deal with a Thor that's sort of just hanging about and diving itself around and dropping in everywhere. But here we go. Looks like Pig is going to re-burrow himself. He does have a huge total of Swordposts out. 23 are out on the map at the moment. And that is a really, really nice total. We've also got a couple of Vipers that are here to help out with some of their Abducts or possibly Blinding Clouds. We'll see which one Pig wants to use. Is it going to be an Abduct? Yes, it is. Pulls out 3 of the tanks. They are going to get taken apart by the Locust. Wonderful work there by the Zerg player. You can see the setup here, how all of this works. The Swarm Host, they send in their Locust. Normally, all of this siege tank fire, once the Locusts reach this position here, it gets very hard to actually get them into a position where they can take out tanks. As we can see, there you go, beautiful example of that right now. Locusts just slowly but surely pass away as they move into range of the tanks. But what Pig is going to do here, when his Vipers have energy, pull some of these tanks out, and then you can get them into the range of the Locusts very, very quickly. There's one. Picks out one. Does lose a Viper for the cost of that, but it's better than nothing. And as you can see, Pig still continuing to try and harass MVP to keep him restricted to just a very lowly 4 bases here. The Locust still continuing to pour out of the small post. This Ultimate Command could be in a little bit of trouble if Pig decides to target him down. I think maybe he would want to, but MVP's got other ideas. Slowly now moving up, the Swarm Host will have to unburrow. Once they unleash another volley of the Locusts, they drop them out and then they head out of there as quickly as they can. Ravens providing protection. They could also provide some PDDs, but it looks as if MVP has decided not to go down that particular path. But the Locusts, the Swarm Hosts have escaped for the moment. The Vipers keeping up with them. Bunch of Queens also here as well, able to spread some more creep and also protect the Swarm Hosts from the air. And we'll see if that comes about. But Pig, excellent preparation, building up some spines. We'll probably see some spores as well, maybe even some extra spines coming along very soon at each of his sort of outlying satellite bases. But MVP, has he painted himself into a corner? The Swarm Hosts have unloaded another salvo of those Locusts. Here they go, charging forwards. It's a few too many tanks for Pig to get those Locusts through. And there come the Vipers just looking to try and latch onto something. But here come a couple of Hunter Seeker missiles. Will they get in range in time? Splitting up nicely. Nicely done by Pig. 3 burrows, the Swarm Post there. And a huge bunch of Hunter Seekers go down, taking apart a couple of Queens, also some of the Swarm Hosts, and that gives MVP a little bit of time to back off. I really think he needs to look at switching into battle cruisers or something like that at this stage, or possibly even grabbing some Banshees just to be a little bit more annoying with some of his forces, but he is forced to back off for the moment. He is dealing with some of the creep spread, which is really nice, but as these Vipers slowly pick off some of the tanks, they are slowly being whittled down. Beautiful usage of the Abduct skill there from Pig. But the tanks are still in a very large number here, a total of 18. More Hunter Seekers now coming out here from MVP. Will he get the big shots off? Yes, he will. Some of the Swarm Hosts now going down. A big batch of Lings is now attempting to run its way through. Will they be able to get inside the 3rd base, or the 4th base, I should say? Yes, they will. Making it all the way inside here. Going to do some harassment on this base. The Locusts looking to still continue to pressure in the middle of the map. But off on the opposite side of the map, we've got MVP dropping out of his Thor. It is still being extremely annoying over here on the right-hand side of the map. It's picking him back up. This is the medevac, gets it out of there as quickly as he can. But MVP has lost a lot of his SCVs. His work count now down to 51. And we'll see if this translates into a little bit of a troublesome late game here for him. But one thing that he is doing, there is a fusion core. We are going to get some battle cruisers coming out of the King of Wings here very, very soon. 4-time GSL champion, he knows what's up. He knows that he needs to get into the air because those Locusts cannot shoot up. Despite the, there is an upgrade. I don't know if anyone knows this. There is an upgrade in the campaign for Locusts to be able to shoot at air units as well. It is crazy imbalance, I'll tell you what. I'm glad that's not in a real game. But here we go, some more Hunter Seekers dropping down, dealing with some of those Swarm Hosts very nicely here. Roaches have also made their way through into the main base, taking out some tech labs. They will eventually be taken out. A couple of tanks will pop out and should be able to take them down pretty quickly. There you go, MVP. He actually loses some of the tanks. I'm a little bit surprised about that. While that is going on, MVP trying to utilize his forces as best he can, dropping in some tanks, Brood War style, into the main base, getting some damage done. Hellbat's tanking at the front, and it looks as if beautifully done by Pig, blinding Cloud. The tanks can do nothing, they see nothing, and they are forced to unsiege. They'll get lifted up by the medevacs, I presume. No. Alright, because MVP is busy trying to walk his way in the front door. Lots of lings, lots of roaches on the way for Pig. Stormhost, where are they? There they are. They're stuck in a little bit of a wonky position at the moment. So MVP is going to waltz his way inside the natural base, just pong-pong mode with the tanks going to push their way inside. Medevacs and the tanks in the main base have been cleaned up for the moment. And speaking of cleaned up, Pig says, no thank you, I do not want any tanks or doors in the front door. Takes him out with lings and roaches, and the Stormhost is still alive, or at least some of them are for the moment. Oh, that would have been a little bit interesting, some of the drones transferring across, but what we can see here from MVP is a transition to battle cruisers. These guys do a wonderful job, but you really do need a lot of Ravens out as well, and this is one thing that I think MVP may start to struggle with. Without his 5th base operational, it's going to be hard for him to pull in the extra gas that he needs to build battle cruisers and the Ravens that he needs, because as we can see, main base mined out, a lot of unmining SCVs there, I'm not sure about that. Natural base gas also just about mined out. Of course, the 3rd and the 4th are looking quite handy, but as you can see, this base is constantly under threat as the swarm hosts are throwing their locusts across to make that command center lift up, and MVP is being forced into a very tough position. He is going to move up here towards the top side and try and take this base, but will he be able to? That is a big question, because if he can, then he may be able to recoup a big army here. It costs a lot of gas to get these battle cruisers out. Of course, we can see we've got 4 at the moment. We need more Ravens as well. Yamato Cannon has just finished up. We've also got the Behemoth Reactor just coming along here for MVP as well. A couple of tanks, however, have made their way across towards the top base of Pig. The 6 is in a little bit of trouble. Hellbat's causing all sorts of grief over here, but the worker kill tally still favors Pig. 41 workers killed by him. MVP is only 18. Can see that MVP is slowly making his way down towards the bottom side. He's trying to restrict the mining of Pig. He knows that if he can cut down Pig's mining, then, you know, Pig is not exactly in a huge mining position himself. If the 5th and the 6th go down, Pig has no natural and no main, and soon to be he will have no 3rd base as the minerals are starting to mine out. We do have a huge bank of gas here for our Zerg player though, so pretty much if there's one handy ling just being quite annoying there. It looks as if the MVP and Viking gets abducted out. The Corruptors doing their best against that orbital command, but Pig, as we can see, has basically no main mining going. There is still an extractor here that could be put down, but the gas is done at the natural. The 4th base is also getting a little bit low with the gas, but I mean, Pig's got a bank of 10,000 gas at this point. It is almost a non-issue if he loses some of his gas units. It's all about the minerals at this point. And with this base mining and with the 5th base down the bottom side mining, but well, not for now, but if that gets back up and running, then this game is certainly one that you can possibly put in the books for Mr. Pig as he slowly but surely pushes forwards against the attempted base of MVP. That is base number 5 for the Terran player. Will he be able to do it? We'll see, because the battle cruisers are out. We've got a few Ravens here as well. A few Vikings going to protect them against the Corruptors. But a couple of Ducks. Will he be able to take down the Ravens? I would love to see MVP. Will he be able to do it? Looks like a no. MVP sticking with it. A couple of beautiful Hunter Seekers taking down a huge portion of health on some of these Corruptors. They are very low on health right now. And MVP, he is... he's going to take out that swarm host there. The battle cruisers moving across towards the 6th base up the top. They're not going to be able to take that down for now, but the 5th down the bottom that one is definitely in trouble. MVP, is he going to bring it all back and into his favor right now? The command center forced to move across to the side to land down there. A few scans going off from MVP. He wants to keep an eye on what's going on. He is just checking how much mining is going on for the Zerg player. I think he's starting to recognize if he doesn't get something done right here, right now, and keep these battle cruisers alive, then he is certainly in a lot of trouble. MVP is moving forwards on the 6th base at the top end of the map. Swarmpost going to drop out some locusts to no avail. There are no ground units here, Pig. But the Corruptors targeting down the battle cruisers. Corruption laying down the pain there with that extra 20% damage. Battle cruisers, one and only one left over here for MVP. Down it goes, and that could be it for the Terran player here in this match. He's down at 90 supply. Pig with a bank of 10,000 gas is looking very, very handsome right now. Lots of Swarm hosts still out on the map, 190 supply, and I think despite some of the valiant efforts of MVP to try and make this mech composition work here, unfortunately it is probably not going to be able to finish up the day here. 2 more battle cruisers do come out, but I'm not sure how long this is going to last because MVP attempting to mine out this base as quickly as he can. Mules coming along. 2 queens are going to be able to finish off some of these SCVs. The hatchery goes down, locking off this base here for MVP. He's not going to be able to get a good position here, but one of the last of the orbitals is trying to fly away. A battle cruiser does go down. A couple more are going to come across and deal with those corruptors, but the queens are going to work on the SCVs here at this base. It looks like MVP is going to lose one of his last Hellbats here, and I would say that is probably about it. MVP with 1,000,000 mules doing what he can to try and salvage this game is going to fall. The Vipers, the Swarm host doing a wonderful job, and there is the GG.